Okay, welcome to a new video. In this one, I'm going to teach you how to build a high ticket program, an online fitness coaching program that you can sell for a premium price. So you don't ever have to sell low ticket again. You have to be struggling at 2 to 3K a month with zero profit to actually reinvest back into the business. It's much better to have the mentality of trying to be the best you can possibly be, right? Just have one offer that's the best it can possibly be, charge a premium for it, and have a wildly profitable online business, right? Just like my clients are doing right now. High ticket sales, 30 to 65% close rate, which is pretty good. So Marcus here made 10K in his first month. People, doing 3K PIFs. Matthew, 2K PIF. Jonathan, 2K up front. So you don't have to sell programs for $100, $200, $300 a month. Like that's just the standard, right? That's what I used to do. Didn't really get too far with it until I started doing high ticket, and it was a complete game changer, if I'm honest. So there's kind of 4 parts here. A is you need to actually be able to define who you're targeting so that then you can actually map out a transformation that they are going to desire the most to ensure that the perceived value is high as possible. You're going to solve all the roadblocks around making this transformation. Then you're going to have a flawless accountability system to make sure that you get them the results that they're paying for you, right? Because that's the thing about high ticket. It's not just a membership site. It's not just some shitty fitness app. People are literally paying for the transformation. So you have to do everything in your power to get them from A to B. And as soon as you've mapped out the transformation, you've solved all the roadblocks with your program. It's really not that difficult to then just keep them on track. Okay. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So first step is you need to clearly define the pains and the desires of your ideal client persona. Their before state. So anxious in social situations, hate seeing themselves in the mirror, can't fit into the right clothes, comfort eats to mask the misery, right? It's a vicious cycle. These are all just examples, but you can see how you need to be able to define this state very well. So then you can actually market to these people. So they're here right now and they want to try and get to here. So in between, you've got all the roadblocks. So what's actually stopping them from taking action, right? They don't know what or how much foods to eat. They lack certainty about which exercise to do. They don't understand how to diet sustainably, right? So they end up yo-yo dieting. They don't have a support system in place, not keeping themselves accountable, right? All these things. Now, it's obviously going to vary from depending on what niche you're in. These are just examples. But every possible reason under the sun that has stopped them from getting to here in the past, you need to be able to solve them things in your program so that they can finally get to this end state, right? Proud, shirtless on the beach with a 6-pack, excited for social situations. They now love buying new clothes for themselves. They've eliminated the self-sabotage behaviors, right? They easily get in dates with attractive women now. All of these things that really motivate someone to actually take action, buy into a program, and finally get the job done. So without understanding this, clearly you're going to make your program blind and could potentially waste a ton of time. Another thing I see is people they try and make this perfect program before they've even put out a concept into the marketplace to see if people want it or not. A lot of this stuff, if you're just sitting down in front of a blank screen, it's just hypothetical. It's not based on real data. It's just based on what your brain thinks. So you need to just get like a baseline sort of image in place of who you want to target. But then you need to go out and actually talk to these people and sell to these people so that you can get feedback from the market and then you can make your program better. Don't get caught up in trying to build before you sell. Always sell before you build. Have a minimum viable product in place, sell it, then improve and iterate from there. Very important. So B, trying to map out the client transformation based on these things. And over time, this is going to get more meticulous as you find out the biggest things that are holding people back, as people give you feedback in the program about things that, basically you're trying to make their life as easy as possible so you get more results. So you're going to map out the client transformation, and that's literally going to look something like this. Literally from the second that they pay you money, what's happening? What do they have to do? What do you need to have in place? Right? They receive the welcome email. They need to do this. They need to do this. They need to look at this. They need to schedule the call. They need to accept this. You need to understand every single little action from A to B, what's going to happen. Make it watertight. Make it so meticulous. And so you know that every little thing that needs to happen to get them results. Okay? Week 1, week 2, whatever. So it's going to look something like this. Just map it out step by step. So then what you can do is, now that you've got this little step-by-step process of getting them from A to B, okay, now this is your version, okay? But what you can do if you really want is then make this into like a client roadmap / task list, which would look something like this. So task, do this. Here's the link to the resource. Do this in this time frame. Tick here when you've completed it. All right. If you just want to make it that fucking easy for people to execute on, then you can do, right? And just make it so easy. So make it crystal clear for them. So it's even a 5-year-old could follow it. Because the more clarity that a client has inside your program, the easier it is for them to take action. So you need to remember that. If they're all confused, not really knowing what to do next, that's a really bad position for them to be in, because their brain is not primed for success, right? When they're feeling that, when doubt creeps in, when they're having negative thoughts. So if they send you payment, then they have an email that comes through with a little, do this, do this, do this. Then they get access to this task list, and then they just start banging stuff out. They're looking at the welcome pack. They know how to take progress pictures. They know how to do check-ins. You as a coach just have to think of absolutely everything. So their mind is at ease, and all they need to do is execute. That's basically where you're trying to get their brain to. Literally no doubt, 100% certainty, and they see this one tiny line that they have to follow. That's it. So when you know the step-by-step roadmap, you can then start to solve all the issues. So what does that look like? So you develop the program. This is the first draft. Okay, you have no real market data about if this is going to even work or not. So this is just the first draft. This is also called a minimum viable product, which is the minimum, right, documented, built, that you need to have in place to get your client from A to B. Now that looks like having an app for a training plan, a nutrition plan, having a way of doing check-ins. And if I'm completely honest, that's kind of it. You don't have to necessarily sell high ticket prices when you're just in the beta phase, so to speak. What you can do is you can just increase your prices over time when you know it works and you have more proof of concept. So you have the MVP in place. And then what happens is this constant little feedback loop starts to happen where you're constantly getting client feedback and market requests. You're also getting market feedback on sales calls, in the DMs, on application, things like this, and you're also, from your point of view, you're going to pick up on stuff, clients not performing certain tasks well. Okay, well, how can you make that easier? Let's say they're not doing their check-ins. So how can you make it easier? How can you, can you have videos in your onboarding process that tell them exactly step by step how to do it? Can you set up reminders, right? So they don't forget. There's always a solution. So not checking in properly, fucking up at the weekend. So Okay, so can you have a system in place that allows them to do what they want to do at the weekend, but just means that they aren't fucking up their whole progress, right? And they're still in calories. The average person doesn't have the knowledge to improvise, though. That's the problem. So you as a coach have to have the SOPs in place to be able to say, look, if you're the kind of person who, when the weekend comes around, you kind of slip off a little bit, here's an exact game plan and a system that you can use to make sure that you still have what you want, but we also still make progress as well. Does your program have a recipe book? Okay, these are like questions that people might ask you. Okay, can I train from home? You might have some pre-made home workouts. You might have a recipe book. These are all things that you can build over time when you acquire this feedback from the market. I really struggle with meal prep. Is there an alternative? Okay, all these things. And then what happens is you take this information and then you keep developing the program over time. And then from there, you've got the accountability. So in my opinion, this is what a good program would look like. So at the bottom, you've got the group call and community. So this is actually a really good thing to have in place because people start valuing the community more than the progress itself sometimes. So just because they've hit their goal, it doesn't mean that they want to leave the program, because then they've met all these people who are on a similar journey to them. The task list and coaching app. So just a very user-friendly visual representation of what it is they need to do on a daily basis. So a coaching app will give you like a daily check-in and daily reminders. And also the task list is kind of more so important for like the first 3 or 4 weeks when they're just starting to do everything for the first time. So it's almost like a step-by-step roadmap. Weekly Loom check-in video. So on a weekly basis, you are making you're looking over the data, making sure that they're on the right track, and from your point of view, that they don't need any adjustments made to their program or their protocol. And it just keeps them motivated, keeps them hyped up, praise them for their wins. You always want to start checking with wins, make it as positive as possible and constructive. And then also having just predictability in when you actually speak to clients. So you want to actually be checking in with them 3 or 4 times a week, just via voice note or text, because what tends to happen is people might fuck up a little bit or fall off the wagon, but they don't tell you until the check-in. So if you can actually just eliminate that with these touch points, you're going to intercept and be able to give them a voice note or a bit of encouragement or solve a problem for them before it even gets to the check-in. And then the check-in is not going to be too bad. But yeah, really simple, guys. That's it for today's video. So subscribe if you're new. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.